Okay, I think we're live. Hi, everybody. This is Egle with Women ADV Writers, and today I am super excited to welcome Franziska Jenetzky. Franziska is from Germany. She has been riding around the world for a few years now, traveling and riding her motorcycle all over South America. She is currently in Mexico with her boyfriend Pete, and we're here today to chat about travel and motorcycling. Franziska, is there anything that I haven't said that you'd like to say about yourself?
No, I think you summed it up pretty well. Excellent work. That's me. Last 2 years traveling around and making the best out of it.
So when did you start riding a motorcycle? I understand that's pretty recent. You've been a traveler and then you came to motorcycling, right? It didn't happen altogether.
No. I think my first big travel is the typical, backpacking thing. That's probably about 13 years ago. I grabbed my backpack and went to Colombia. And as it happened, I was so green, and I only had planned to do I think 4 weeks or 5 weeks of my semester break. And then I met my boyfriend at the time there, and I continued traveling for another 5 months, and a year later I moved to Australia because he was Australian. And and then I lived nearly 10 years in Australia, and I did my license there probably about 3 years later, so 10 years ago. And in the beginning I would keep going with the backpacking, and luckily we both shared the same passion, so we've been out a lot. And the whole motorcycle traveling is only probably like doing it by myself or also with Pete now, maybe 3 years ago. Before that, I did smaller trips. You did 3 weeks in Europe, and you did the 4 weeks in Mongolia. Or I rented bikes in northern India, but it was always very temporary, very short trips. And that it became a lifestyle, it's 3 years now.
Mm-hmm. So how is motorcycle travel different from, say, backpacking?
I think the biggest difference is that you don't need to chase the off the beaten track experience. I mean, I remember going to the hostels, something that nobody else does, or what isn't on the bus routes, or back in the days what wasn't in Lonely I think because you just go. I mean, often you look at the maps and think, oh, this looks like a really nice road. Maybe we just head down that way and see what is at the end of it now.
Mm-hmm. So it's mostly about independence and going where you want to go, as opposed to where the plane or the bus goes.
I think that's the main thing. And the other thing is, I think you're much more approachable. People are really interested in where you have been. I don't know. I think it's just that thing, you're in the middle of the road somewhere, and it's a little village, and you're on a motorcycle. And I'm also blonde, and sometimes when you do it by yourself, you're out there, people are like, wow, you're a woman by yourself, what are you doing out here? And I don't think you get that so much with the backpacking, because you always, I think you're more where the crowds are, and you're not sticking out so much. Yeah, it's definitely about independent travel.
Mm-hmm. I know that you recently switched bikes. You did South America on remind me, BMW GS, was it a 650? And now you are on a Suzuki DR650, is that right?
Yeah, so it was the F650 Dakar. Mm-hmm. I chose that bike because I had one in Australia, and I felt, at least I don't have to get used to a new bike. And it was a good bike. But now with the DR, I mean, you ride it yourself. It's like, it's really cool. I mean, it's so agile. It's so lightweighted. Mm-hmm. You just fly up the hills, down the hills. You don't need asphalt. It's just a whole new riding experience. I love it.
I love it too. Like I know it's like, to me sometimes it feels like it's a little tractor, especially with the vibration, especially on pavement. But off-road, I absolutely love it too. And it feels like it's, I always compare motorcycles to horses because I used to ride horses beforehand. So when it comes to the
Yeah.
DR650, I feel like it's not a very elegant thing. It's not extremely powerful, but it's like a Shetland pony, it will go over anything, any terrain, anything you throw at it, it'll just steadily just keep plodding along. So I really love that about this bike.
It's plodding along, but in comparison, it also, I find it really, well, as I said, it's flying over obstacles, like big rocks and stuff like that. I mean, the F650 is not a bad bike, and I think still it is, for certain parts of the world, a very good traveling bike. But if you want to do more off-road riding, or more, not even off-road, I mean, what's off-road, but I mean, saying pistes and mountain roads and stuff like that, I always felt it a bit, how do you say, like heavy or slow, and also it wasn't so forgiving. The DR is super forgiving.
Yes.
It's so easy to recover when you do a little bit of uh, a wiggle or a bouncy bit or whatever.
Yeah, that's actually a great
No,
point. Yeah. It's forgiving. I definitely agree with that. It's a very forgiving motorcycle for sure.
yeah, I love it.
hmm I also know that you work on your own bike, and I admire that so much. And I hope to one day be able to do as many things as you are. I'm learning slowly, very slowly actually, but I am. But can you talk a little bit about that? Like, how did you even start learning about your own motorcycle? What motivates you to work on your own bike? And is it a very hard thing to do?
Okay, sure. Um, well, well, first of all, I think I was like everybody else, back home. You bring your bike to your trusted mechanic for the servicing, and ideally you get a little stamp in your service book. And I never really bothered much with the mechanics because, well, to be fair, I was a bit, yeah, I would say intimidated with it. You don't want to do anything wrong. You don't want to cause any damage.
Yeah.
I don't know. And
That's
then,
how I feel like. I'm just too afraid to touch it because what if I screw something up?
yeah, but to be like, I mean, okay, there are also differences. Like, for example, the DR is like a very mechanical bike. There isn't much, I mean, it's all mechanical parts, and that makes it so great because you can fix everything on that bike. And you have like the big modern bikes. I mean, there's much more technology involved, more electrics, and that makes it much harder.
Mhm.
But with like these basic bikes, or the F650 wasn't too bad either. You could still do a lot of stuff on it, and you just do it little by little. I mean, I really just got into the mechanics because I had to on the road. You start with your little oil change, and then I don't know, you check the brake pads and things like that. The next big step was like, oh, I have to change the brake fluid, and you think, oh my God, it's the brakes.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, no. So in step by step, you realize, well, it's all mechanical parts. It's all doable. It's all learnable. I use a lot of YouTube videos.
Mhm.
They're great. There's literally for every topic, there's something out there. The DRs are very popular, in particular with people doing their own stuff. And
Mhm.
I like the Aussie videos. They're really good, short, not pregnant. How do you say? I'm thinking about the German word pregnant, but they're really on the point.
Uh-huh.
Um, and yeah, you find all the answers there. And then when you do, and little by little, you do other things. And the last thing we did in the States, I took a carburetor apart, cleaned it,
Wow.
rejetted it. Like, yeah, a little moment. And then you start really enjoying it, like, and you realize it's not that difficult. I still have my moments, and I think the main thing is like you need to have the right tools as well, because as for I'm struggling with strength. I mean, you have like a seized nut or something, and you had a lot of seized nut on these
Yeah.
bikes because I think a lot of the well, mainly, I don't know. I'd say the previous owners in both of our bikes thought it was really good to tighten the nuts, all the nuts, to the really point of tightening, and that is not always necessary. So we had a lot of problems with these nuts, or very hard to unloosen them, and that's my points where I struggle. I'm just lacking the power, and then you just need, like, you know, extension bars and things like that, and then it works. But I think it's very empowering to know how your own bike works, you know.
So you would say start small and just build your skills and build your knowledge, right? Start with oiling your chain, and then you can learn to adjust your chain, and then you can learn to maybe change your chain, right? And just build on that.
Yeah, it's like every skill. I mean, it's like motorcycle riding. I mean, you're not starting to ride, I don't know, in the high mountains of Bolivia. You're gonna start in your back, and you enjoy, and you know, and then you build up on that. And I think everybody can do that with time at hand. I mean, that's a big issue. I mean, if you're at home and you're tucked into your life and you have your work routine, your family and stuff, of course it will take a lot of effort for you to kind of get your head around things. But I mean, for people like us who are on the road, you know, and you can spend a day or two fiddling with the bike, no problem. And as more as you learn, as faster it goes, obviously.
So what else is important on a long overland journey, whether you go in on your own or with other people? So you need to know a little bit about your motorcycle. You need a little bit of money, obviously. What about the mindset? What kind of sort of, like, you know, mental skills do you need to go ahead and ride? I'm not saying around the world, but maybe just, you know, cross country or something like that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, what do you need in advance? I think motorcycle traveling in general changes you. You become more, well, you enjoy what you have, and you also endure more. Like, you know, you're out in the nature, it rains, It's, I don't know, you have to wait 3 hours at a border post until he lets you go. It's life, and you become a bit more, I don't know how to say that. Yeah, everything is just, well, it changes you. You become more patient, you become better with people. And I don't think that you necessarily need to bring much into that. I think you just have to have an open mind. You have to try to enjoy. You have to try to understand. I think it's really good to, when you encounter problems and so on, to kind of like try to put yourself into other people's shoes. Is that even an English expression? I'm not sure. Just to understand what motivates them and why do they act like they act. And I think everything you need, you learn on the road. There's no, you know, people spend months and years for preparation going on trips. And I'm just saying, you know, save the money and go. The road teaches you everything you need to know, right?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Like when I started posting about my own travels back home in Lithuania, a lot of people didn't even believe that I was in South America on a bike at the time, and a lot of people, like, I was like, do I need to send my passport visas, or what are you talking about? But a lot of people also said, well, that's impossible, because to do that kind of a trip, you need certain experience, and I never understood that because, well, what kind of experience in the first place? And also, well, how are you going to get that experience? You're going to get it by actually doing it, right? So there's no really mental preparation package that you can download from somewhere or go practice somewhere, because you're just going to, like you said, right, just learn as you go along.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, there probably things. I always regretted I never done well, not hardships, but it was a hard learning curve in the beginning. You know, the FX50. I'm not a very tall woman. I'm like 165 centimeters. Don't know what that is in inches. So I'm not very tall, and it was a lot of work for me to kind of like get to the point where I say I'm very confident on non asphalted roads. And I think if I had done a course like that or so and understood more of behaviors of bikes and how you react in certain situations. That could have helped me, but besides that, I mean, the traveling is teaching you everything, and you become seasoned by doing the seasons. You know, it's like being street smart. I mean, you can't get street smart if you're not being on the road.
Sure.
So I think, I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, I know the Germans, for example, that we are a culture to be trying to be prepared for everything, you know, and spend a lot of time to map out their trips and where they're going to stay. And I remember, for example, a couple of years back, I just had a friend who was working in Switzerland. At the time I was back in Germany, I had a bike, and I said, oh, cool, I just come and visit you. So I went to Bern. And my parents' neighbor was like, what, you going to Switzerland? Have you looked at the map? And how are you going to get there? And I'm like, I just follow the road signs. So I don't know. I think you just have to jump, save the money, jump on your bike. That's it. Not more.
There's no need to overthink and overcomplicate things, right?
No, not at all. There's not more to say. I think that is it. I mean, jump on the bike and
just go for it. I agree. I also want to talk to you about, you've been traveling as a single female on the road, and you've been in a relationship on the road. Can you talk about that a little bit? Like, what's the difference between solo travel and traveling with a partner?
I mean, okay, let me think about that. Well, first of all, I think, I mean, if you take the thing aside that you're a woman and you're just thinking about traveling yourself, obviously a lot of things are a bit more different. I mean, it starts with, like, you know, you want to, I don't know, go in a toilet, or you want to, I don't know, go around the corner. You're going to leave your bike unwatched. When you're with a partner, it's so much easier because you can do all these things together. One person keep an eye out. It's the same if you break down. I mean, I had two breakdowns last year. One was in Patagonia and over Paso Rodolfo. Forgot the name. It's the last pass between Chile and Argentina. And then you have somebody with you. You know, I lost my shock first gear, 50 kilometers off road. You know, if I would have been by myself, I would be worried. What if it gets dark? And what if I can't make it? There's nobody around here. But Pete was with me all the time. So even in the end, if I couldn't have gone any further, I mean, he was there to get some help. I had another breakdown on the Carretera Austral when my water pump failed me. And it was literally that. I had to, like, go on the side of the road. I put up the camp and the tent and everything. And Pete went off and got a truck to tow me back. That are the things that are really nice. They're easy than when you are alone. But obviously, it's also nice to share the experience. That's probably the biggest plus. You know, it's not. I mean, how should I say? Like, I mean, it doesn't matter how great a thing is. When you see it by yourself, you are there, you're enjoying it. But it's so much more worth it when you can share that experience with somebody else. And then there's obviously the aspect as a woman traveling by yourself. I mean, most of my experience are pretty good, and I had no major problems with it. Even on the contrary, like in Argentina, for example, I felt like a rock star. I had, like, people passing me in a car, and actually everybody in the car was, like, cheering, you know. People were, like, super interested in how it is traveling by yourself as a woman, and that really made me feel very special. And I think it's no disadvantage or anything. I think on the contrary, you get much more often offered help, I think, and you're less a threat to others, so they invite you to do their homes and stuff like that. There's a couple of situations that weren't so nice. nothing major, but well, then you just go and you leave. Yeah, but I think in general the main thing is you as a couple you share the experiences, the hardships as well, and it brings you closer in a way. You know somebody very well in a short time.
Yeah, it's very intense, isn't
Yeah, it is intense. I
it?
mean, you literally spend 24/7, right? And then even if you do, I don't know. I mean, it's nice when you have a hotel room, but sometimes you camp, and you're well. I mean, I saw your article. I mean, it's like you're sweaty and you're in a tent, or you're wet
Yeah.
and in a tent, and you have this tiny space together, or I don't know, the other person has a really bad day and you have to deal with it. And yeah, but after all, I would prefer it. I think it's nice together.
Speaking of sharing, I know you're starting a new project online. I don't know if you're ready to talk about it yet or not. So far, I've been seeing a lot of Instagram content from you, sort of trying to unite other women writers, and you're doing
I
it
have so many.
Yes. Can you talk a bit about that? Why is it important to connect with other women writers to you?
Well, well, first of all, I think I enjoyed your website, Women Adventure Writers, a lot, and the Facebook group, and people are very like positive and supportive. In contrast to some other women's groups, where there's a lot of bitching going on. But I think the problem there is often also because there's a lot of different interests. You have people that are doing dual sports, and you have people who are rather riding their cruisers, and others like their sports bikes.
Sure.
And that creates a lot of
Differences?
differences, points of like little conflicts and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's the nice thing about women adventure writers is like it's the women who are all seeking the same, and therefore the group was very kind of positive. And I like that, and I thought that, and it also makes you aware of there is actually a community out there, and there's other women doing the same thing. And so at the moment, I don't know, I have 100 ideas. Like I started this thing called Gratwanderin. It's like a German play with words because Grat is often seen as a motorbike, or like a short word for motorbike, but with a slightly different spelling but same pronunciation. It actually also means the edge, and Wanderin is the wanderer. So you're not only a wanderer with a motorbike, so you're also wandering on an edge, and I like that play with words. And the idea about it was to be supportive, to create a community platform where people can meet and talk, and also to have like a positive feedback and ensure like like the whole community thing. And I started off with Instagram, where I wanted to show real women writing, doing what they love, not caring, I don't know if the makeup is right or the hair is good. There's a lot of photos out there of women on motorcycles. I'm not even sure if they are motorcyclists, because there's a lot of women also just posing on motorcycles, and I think it creates the wrong image, and it's not healthy for the image of the women who doing it. The reputation is just like, she's a woman, but I mean, no, there's really like badass women out there who are doing all this kind of stuff, and I just wanted to show that. So I'm reposting photos of of the women out there, and that's the start. And I also like to take it further, but at the moment I'm a bit I'm enjoying traveling too much, and I'm kind of like have put it on the back burner a bit. I still have that in my mind to creating this platform for German speakers. At the moment, I'm also playing with the thought of maybe doing a guided tour in next year through Bolivia, but that's also very early stages. So I'm kind of like talking to a rental place and stuff at the moment. I would really love to do that and share that with other women. So it would be an all women's tour. But again, really early stages. We will see what happens. I just like to be in that, yeah.
I'm sorry, it looks like you just froze up for a second there. Could you just repeat what you just said now?
Hi. Yeah, I just said like I just enjoyed being part of a community and being part of I don't like that word sisterhood, but
Why
it's
not?
good
I
to,
love that word. I think it's an awesome word.
yeah, but I know what you mean. It is great, but it's also I don't know. I mean, I would see myself as a feminist, but weirdly enough, I don't like the word sisterhood so much.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, no, being part of this community and like supporting each other, sharing the experience, it's always great to meet another woman actually on the road, because
Yeah,
for
there's
some
not a lot
reason
of...
I haven't much.
Yeah.
And then, so you share all these like silly things, your experiences and how you deal with it and how you do with that. And it's funny then to see that you actually make all these similar experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually why I created Women Need to Be Writers. It was a very selfish reason. It's because I didn't meet any other women on the road. Like, I spent 18 months in South America and I only saw one woman on a motorcycle traveling on her own. We waved to each other and we didn't stop for some reason to say hello. We reconnected later on. We're actually great friends right now. But it just got me thinking, where was everybody else? Surely I wasn't the only one. And then I started with writers with the same goal to seek out all these other women and to connect them and to see what we can do together. And I remember when I kind of announced the idea on social media and a bunch of dudes told me, oh, you're not going to last a week. You're going to have material enough for 2 weeks tops. You're going to run out of, you're going to run out of material within 7 days. And well, 2 years later, sorry, we're still going really, really strong. And there's more and more and more women that join and that we find and that we talk. So it's certainly not true. We're out there. We just need to stick together more, I think.
I think also we're more, it's easier now because you have all these platforms and people are more visible.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I mean, there have been women in the past who have done that, but they always would have been doing this by themselves and wouldn't really have talked about it much. And now it's great because you see all these women going through different places and you also connect. I mean, we have never met, but we have talked a lot on social media and Instagram and Facebook and Messenger, and so it's with others. And I think it's great. And when you're in the area and when you're close by, you can meet up actually. And I also think the whole adventure writing has, it's booming. There's so many people out there now. You always get that thing back home when people say, oh, it's so cool what you do. You should write a book, or you should do this, that, and you should get sponsorship, and you should, I don't know, all the things you could do with it. And I'm like, there's actually tons of people out there and the market, there's so many people doing so many good stuff. It's really difficult these days to actually be different. I think people actually don't realize that how many people are going on these trips, and more women as well.
Yeah, which is really great, I think, because you're right. Adventure writing is becoming a lot more popular, but I think it's a great thing because the more people come to this, the more diverse it gets. There's not just one model of how to do adventure writing. There's not just one formula of how to travel the world. There's all these different ways, different bikes, different people, and I think that's really great because it's also encouraging.
Yeah, I also think, there's all different kinds of bikes you can use. I think, there's always, when people talk about the adventure bikes, they always talk about these big, heavy, expensive bikes. I saw a guy today on Facebook and I couldn't believe it. Like, he literally was, his problem is that he financed his brand new African Twin or whatever it is, and he doesn't want to pay it off, but he wants to go on a travel to South America. And now, because he doesn't have the title, he might not be able to leave the country with the bike. And I'm like, what the? I'm sorry. Like, you're not paying off your motorcycle. And then he's like saying, it looks like I have to pay off my old motorcycle. Now I'm $20,000 short. And I'm like, what? $20,000? That's a year and a half traveling.
Yeah.
So need big adventure bikes. I mean, I met people who did it on scooters and had the best of time. Yeah, I don't really understand, but I think that's what people think they need, and I don't think that is wrong. That is right. You can do it with anything. I mean, people do it on bicycles, really.
Yeah.
Go out there.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think all this diversity that's happening right now is really cool because there's, there used to be just this one image, and now there's more. There's, like you said, people on scooters, people on small bikes, big bikes, all kinds of bikes, all kinds of budgets, men, women, even kids.
Yeah.
I mean, there are families doing this as well. So I think it's easier now for us as riders to look at all these people and go like, oh, okay, this guy or this gal looks like me, therefore I can do it as well. I think that's pretty cool.
I think also information is very accessible these days. Yeah, I mean, when I first backpacked, I mean, everybody was using the Lonely Planet because that was the most reliable source of information. And now everybody has a phone, and the phone does everything for you: the maps, the bookings.
Yeah,
I mean, it even talking for you. There's lots of Facebook groups that support each other in different regions of the world. You always find answers or a lot of times you find answers very easily. No, I think it all is more connected, and it makes a lot of things easier.
for sure. So just to wrap this up, I don't really want to because it's so awesome to chat with you, but what would you say to somebody who's watching right now? Maybe they're a new rider or maybe they're an experienced rider, but they've not done a long trip yet, but they want to. What is the one thing that you would tell them that would help them to get going?
I don't know. It's like, just do it. I mean,
Do it.
seriously, just do it. I mean, set yourself a goal. Say, I mean, it's not just about talking about and say, oh, I would really like to do it. I mean, set yourself a savings plan. It depends where in the world you want to go. It's much cheaper than you think it will be. Travel slow, enjoy your time, talk to the people. In the end of the day, yeah, I mean, get your passport, get your ticket, off you go. Well, I mean, in the case if you start with your bike, just jump on a bike and go. And everything else will fall into place once you are going.
Awesome. I could not agree more. All right, Franziska, thank you so much for being here. Everybody, I will put up some links if you want to follow Franziska on her travels. And again, thanks so much for being here and all the best to you on the road.
Thanks for talking to me.